Hey guys, it is the last Monday of 2018, and that means that it is the last regularly scheduled post about autism. Last week I talked about the various resources that are available for parents who have questions about how their kids are developing and where to get started if you do have suspicions that your child might not be developing normally. And this week I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the other resources that are out there that probably aren't the first thing that you think of, but that were extremely helpful in getting Tessie help early. Really, they play a big role in why she is in therapy, not quite at 18 months like I was hoping, just because it was so difficult to get that ADOS scheduled, but in why she did get into therapy at 20 months, why she got ABA started at 20 months, and OT and speech started at 21 months, which we're really happy with, and she is making amazing gains already. I mean, we are thrilled. Just in the last 4 weeks, we were just seeing like an explosion of skills and eye contact, and it is beyond anything that I anticipated. And a big part of the reason that we were able to get those resources, I credit our involvement in several studies. In some of the other posts, I talk about how when Tessie was a few months old, she wasn't making any eye contact, she wasn't tracking things with her eyes, she basically laid in her bed and she didn't respond to anything. And I probably would have just thought that she was like a really good baby if she didn't have an older sister who was on the autism spectrum, and if we hadn't already gone through this once before. Because I did have the experience that I'd had with her older sister. I was pretty vigilant in watching for milestones, and by the time she was 3 months old, I was really concerned, and the early interventionists that worked with her older brother were extremely concerned. But we live in Michigan. We live in a town with about 1,000 people, and basically I started reaching out to everybody. I mean, anyone who had any sort of autism experience, I was going to be calling in every single favor of anyone who I had ever had any sort of contact with. They were going to be hearing from me like, hey, I have this baby. I think that she's on the autism spectrum. I know she's only 3 months old. I know she can't be diagnosed at this point, but what can I do? I just don't feel like I can just sit here and wait 15 months for her to start therapy. What do I do now? And at that point, the autism lab at Michigan State University, some of the contacts we made there, because Maggie's my 7-year-old who is on the autism spectrum, we had done a study there, Project Impact, which is like a therapy program where they train parents online via Skype, and we'd done that program when Maggie was 4 years ago, and they came up with a list of studies and basically said, these are the 3 that we think are the most interesting to you. And one was Washington University, one was at Boston Children's, and one was at Pitt. And I emailed all 3 of them, and all 3 of them responded, and we ended up doing all 3 of them. The one that I especially want to talk about is someone from a small town, and the baby lab at Pitt, and also MSU and Project Impact both have a special place in my heart because they do distance Skype programs that are accessible to people that aren't in major cities. So with Tessie, we did travel down to St. Louis for MRIs, and we did drive 17 hours with 5 kids in the car to go to Boston, and we will be doing that again. And we did the study with the baby lab where Tessie sat, and we did Skypes starting at 3 months, and we did weekly sessions, and that looked at her gross motor skills. And it was less, I will admit, it was less the studies themselves that I was interested in. It was more the developmental information that I could get back from the studies, because let's face it, I'm being a little bit selfish here. I wanted developmental information about her as much as I could, and those resources so that I could use them to get her therapies. And I wasn't really sure how this would work. It was really just that I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I needed to be doing something. Doing studies felt like I was helping someone, and hopefully helping someone, so we did it. And we got information back from both Pitt Baby Lab and from Boston Children's, and we were able to take some of that information and use the developmental information. Like from one of the studies, we had a Mullen done, and we also had an ADOS done, and she had been waitlisted for an ADOS for our insurance company until August 2018. Now, I had called as soon as I could to make that appointment back in October 2017, and they were going to get her in August 2018. And I was absolutely devastated. I was really, really upset that she was going to be over to, like, I felt like we'd done everything and she still wasn't going to be getting therapy for a very, very long time. I was able to take the information that we got from the studies and take them to the social worker that we were working with, and when they saw the results from the studies, they bumped her up to February, which was like a couple of weeks away, and they did an ADOS a couple of weeks after that. She had an intake appointment, and 2 weeks later she had an ADOS. They gave us the results of the ADOS 10 minutes after they finished it, which was unusual. Usually it's like more than 24 hours. 2 days later, she was at her intake appointment for the therapy center, and then another week and a half, she was beginning ABA. And so for me, these studies, and especially the studies that give parents who aren't near big cities access to this sort of feedback, are really, really important, because without them, without that information that we got from the studies that I know aren't the point of the studies at all, I know this is just purely like what we got out of doing the studies, she would still be sitting on a wait list until August 8th, and I would be sitting here feeling like these very, very important months were slipping by, and I can't imagine. I am so thankful. And so that is another route that I would suggest to parents who have concerns, especially that one is one that is especially available to parents who have an older sibling who has autism. I will find some of the websites and some of the links and throw them down below that I think are especially helpful. If you're interested in any of those, just look down below in the information and I will have them there. That's all for today, guys, and that is all for April. Bye.